All right, guys, round number 3. Welcome back to Let's Get Lit. All right, restarting again. Fucking timer messed me up. So, welcome back to Let's Get Lit, party people. Hope everyone's out there hustling. I got Gentry Chidester in here. So, guys, let's dive into this. This is Tanner and Benson's brother. He's part of Elite Closers. One of the Is it the sales side of Elite CEOs, or explain
Yeah,
that to me?
yes. Essentially, it's like a sister company to Elite CEOs, but I just focus on like the sales side, building sales teams, messaging, setting teams, and then we collab obviously because we're family.
Well, dude, that's awesome, man. So I was personally a part of the Elite CEOs coaching program, so I got a lot of value out of that. So this is really cool, and I appreciate you for doing this with me, man. Tanner set it up. So first off, so you're building sales teams.
Yep.
How long does that take to build a quality sales team?
Man, that's a good question. I would say it depends on how many like wrong turns have been taken ultimately. I've gotten onto teams where there's like 10 guys on a team and then they all have different problems, or like it's a sales team, but none of the guys are working full time, which I know seems crazy. But they've kind of essentially just like glued the team together. So they have like one guy who only works Tuesdays, one guy who works Fridays. So when I get into teams, I've done a lot of things wrong. It's
The hell
long.
is this, Fannie Mae?
It feels like that sometimes, dude. So it can be a little longer when again more mistakes have been made or like the foundations have been broken. Like some teams they have different guys using different scripts, different guys using different tracking systems. So my honestly the easiest teams to build, the best teams to build are the teams that aren't built yet, and then I get to come in from ground zero
Don't
and,
have to untrain any bad habits.
exactly,
I say that
exactly.
all the time. The worst agents for me to train are the ones who think they know it all. They've been here 6 years, 20 years since they've been born. You're brand new. It's easier for me.
Oh, dude.
So, what do you say to people out there? They're in an like insurance agency. It's pretty much a sales team, but they're all using different scripts. What do you think about that?
It's tough, man. Because insurance, man, it's a different it's a beast, and there's so much going on. But what I would say is like I personally work with some insurance agents, and there's a lot of good scripts. You got to find the script that you connect with most, and then you got to learn how to like break away from the script when necessary, right? Like I teach this like a script is a tool. It's not a it's,
Understand the process. Understand how to transition.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So that's the biggest thing is like I just make sure you have the right script. I see a lot of the times where like junior agents get under, they're being trained by someone using their script and they hate the script, right? So
You're never
again,
going to make it work. You're doing something you don't believe in.
yeah, 100%. So that's my opinion on like agent scripts for sure.
What are some of the biggest things that you like to focus on in the sales team? Like, what exactly do you focus on hammering really hard? Is it the tonality? Is it how to transition in the sale? Like, what are the biggest things that you really focus on when building a sales team?
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing is listening, man. Like a lot of people think they listen, but true listening and thinking you're listening are two different things where you'll have prospects that are pretty much telling you how to sell them, but because maybe you've heard it before, or you'll have a prospect as an example, just to make it easy, is like, oh, I want to make 10K. Just because two prospects say they want to make 10K doesn't mean they have like the same vision that goes along with that. So listening 100%, like true intense listening, active listening is the number one thing that I like focus on tons with my teams.
Well, that's really my biggest thing is like, I love Alex Hormozzi's closer framework because it's just questions, restatements, short anecdotal stories.
Yep.
It's like
Simple.
you're just repeating back what they said to you, either verbatim or paraphrasing. But that listening piece, like, I'm big into the neuro-linguistic programming stuff, and they teach predicate phrases. So I'm
Yep.
big on that too. If someone's speaking in a lot of visual and you come across with kinesthetic or auditory, it rubs their brain the wrong way. They can't comprehend what you're saying.
Yep. 100%. 100%. So you got to know who you're talking to, and that comes from like listening to them out of the gate for sure.
What exactly do you think they need to be listening for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot they should be listening for, but like ultimately they got to be listening to like the characteristics that are driving change, right? So like Tony Robbins teaches this. He teaches there's like 6 human characteristics, but he teaches like purpose, identity, and then values and beliefs are like the top 3 that drive individuals to change. And so I think you're listening to like whatever their goals or their problems are, but whatever that's stopping them, or excuse me, that whatever it's stopping them from getting ultimately. So those are the things I really drill my sales guys, my sales teams that I train to listen in for, is like the characteristics that's really driving the person to make a change. Because ultimately that's what Tony Robbins teaches us.
Yeah, it's just neurolinguistic programming. That's who made me want to go learn all that stuff. It's just values levels, belief, and like how they characterize thoughts on the hierarchy ideas. Are they a big chunker or are they Mr. Detail, nitty gritty, want to know every single thing?
Yep, 100%. So that's like how you drill in and listen, but then getting to those things, right? It's the basic questions. I think you just mentioned about like Hormozi's framework. His framework's super simple, and it's like, yeah, it's simple so you can focus more on what really matters, right? And it doesn't take. That's one thing. I'm always asked like, hey, what's the best question to ask? And it's like the simplest question is the best question to ask, because then it gives your brain more room to listen if you're really trying to ultimately.
Yeah, and he actually made a video. It's like 50% of the population read below a 7th grade reading level. If you just make everything 3rd grade, like they love you. Like talk to a kid, talk to a
Yeah.
7-year-old.
Yeah, I fell in that trap like early in my sales career where I was trying to get super sophisticated, if you will. And the more I tried, like the worse it was getting. So that's another thing, is like connecting on the level that makes sense for you, but then also understanding like getting more sophisticated doesn't
Yeah, the goal is to be
necessarily.
clever, not clear, or the goal is
Yeah,
to be clear, not clever.
yeah.
He has some really good stuff, man. Like I know you guys are actually friends with him, so that's pretty cool. Just to put it point blank, like I actually want to get acquired by acquisition. I think that'd be cool personally, just to work with him.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I don't know him as well as Tanner for sure, but super intelligent people, and like the way they think is fascinating to me. Like it
Well,
really is fascinating.
that's what's attractive to me about him is just we have a lot of the same beliefs about the world.
Mm.
So it's like I know I'd have a good conversation with him. I know we'd work well together, so I might as well do it.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. When are you trying to get acquired? Like, when do you want to get acquired, I should say?
I'd say I expect to do it in the next year.
Yeah, good for you, man.
'Cause I think it's
That's
only like 3 to 10 million is their threshold. So I'll probably get up to the 5 million mark using everything I got from Tanner stuff, Nico Moreno stuff, and just Alex his free YouTube stuff. Like I'll take those 3 programs and blow everyone else out of the water.
yeah,
But it's like I
that's
also just want to play the long game because we brought up Tony Robbins. He says something that I really like. And it's like you're always running 2 businesses, the one you're in and the one you're becoming. And it was funny how Alex Ramose said that in a different way. It's like your wife is going to marry the person you are and the person you become. It's like everything we talk about, it's like I've learned to only operate on principles. If it won't
mhm,
work in another area of my life, it's probably for a good reason. I'm not going to do it.
mm,
Like it has to be multifaceted.
yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. Definitely believe with that.
So, what's it like working with your family? Like, what are some of the difficulties or the advantages to that? Because, like, I personally would not hire my family, but it's like I love like the camaraderie. At least you guys have on the social presence and building the company side. Like, what's that like, dude?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've talked about this a little bit before, but like we weren't super close. It's not like we were not close,
That's yeah,
but
that's what Benson was saying. Like he's the one who's like more faith driven, and you guys weren't that close growing up.
yeah. So like, and again, it's not like we had like anything wrong with each other. It's just we weren't super close growing up. So like, actually working together brought us closer, and I think that's like because we weren't close, we were able to kind of like build the relationship around the business in a way that like the business, like because that's what brought us together, the business was first, then the relationship was second. And it's been an easy way to operate. I know that's not normal now for most people. They're like, oh, like that's your family. But like for us, really, it's like business first, and then like our family are like fun, like feelings kind of like secondary. And that I think the best thing for me is just knowing like they have my back, and like you never know for sure, but because they're family, you can have a little bit more faith in that. So I've loved it, man, but the parts that have been tough is just like because we're family, we can come at each other's throats. And like I'm sure Benson maybe talked about it a little bit, but me and Tanner, we are very similar. And so we're both, very driven. We're both like very A-type personalities. So when we disagree, that's usually not a fun couple minutes, hours,
Civil
days.
War in the office.
A little bit. But I found like a good rhythm, and that's part of what made me like want to go out and start Elite Closers and kind of have like my own thing to run in parallel rather than like being under, just so I can have a little bit more space to share a little bit more of my ideas, and it's worked out really, really well for us.
Just put you more in charge. And it's like, it comes back down to you guys' value systems. You got Hive, like level 5. I'm not sure if you guys have studied Claire Graves and the evolution of consciousness. You would probably really love that because of what beliefs you could install in your sales team.
Yeah.
The Evolution of Consciousness by Claire Graves. But like, it's so easy for me to identify my clients' values levels. Like, oh, if they're a values level 4, religious, sacrifice now, reward later, they want to play the long game, I can say this and it's going to resonate.
Yeah.
Okay, they're level 5, they're entrepreneurial, they're more takers, they want to create their own stuff, they want their cake and they want to eat it now. And it's like, based on their values, like I can read people in 5 minutes.
Yep.
But it just goes to nonverbal communication, and that's 55% of language.
Do you do most of like your calls? Like, are you all over the phone or Zoom?
Zoom, over the phone, really whatever's going to be best for the client.
Yeah.
I like seeing their faces because I can read body language.
Yeah.
I can watch their eye patterns. Like they teach you this in NLP. Based on what, if they're wearing a watch, I might ask them a question about it and I'll get their buying strategy and I'll elicit those predicate phrases back to them in their buying strategy. And they're just shaking their head yes unconsciously the whole time. It's like, I understand how their brain makes decisions. I understand their buying strategy. They see it, they try it on, they exit. Or they see it, they imagine what it would feel like, they exit. Like, I just know the strategy.
Yeah.
It's how Tony Robbins trains his sales teams.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, man, because have you ever done like in person?
Yeah.
Like you done in person? Was it different like when you went over the phone to not see like only see neck down?
Well, I could hear the tonality shifts. I could tell, and I knew they shifted breathing. Like I can hear when someone shifts their breathing from their stomach to their chest because they'll usually add an inflection or they'll go deeper. But it's just like I'm constantly listening for the changes.
Yeah.
But with eye pattern, that's why I love Zoom because I can see what they're doing. I'll ask them a question, and I can tell by if they look up or to the side, whether they're visual or auditory. And it's like, oh, I'm using predicate phrases in visual sense. Let me switch to auditory. Like, do you hear what I'm saying instead of do you see what I'm showing you? And they're like, their unconscious mind just loves it because that's how they learn. That's their prime representational system.
Yeah, the subconscious mind, man.
Well, that's what I've become an expert on. Like most of your salespeople, it's never a sales problem; it's a belief problem.
Yeah.
I don't believe I can make enough money because the church told me I couldn't. My mom told me I wasn't good enough when I was 3 because my light up Skechers, like whatever it is, it's always a belief that's getting in the way. And the same belief that caused the problem will never be the same one that solves it.
Yep. Yeah. That's the truth, man. But what I love about that and kind of like teaching teams is it's always in the salesperson's control. Like you control everything that happens.
You control your state of mind.
Yeah, you control that. Now, I don't know if you would believe this, but I teach like some people, their beliefs can't be broken in an hour, right? Like there needs to be
longer. Oh, correct. They've ran the pattern for too long or it's been ingrained in them because 90% of our thinking comes from other people.
Yeah. And so again, like you're talking to a 50-year-old man, I always teach like you're actually talking to like a 10-year-old kid who for 40 years has had that same belief pattern just like drilled on him. So it's sometimes you've made more progress in sales than you really think you have, even though you didn't get the deal. It's like you're breaking him out of that belief pattern. You just have to keep spending more time to work through them. And I think that's where a lot of salespeople, man, it's like A/B. It's like, oh, I closed, I didn't close. And it's like, no, you're closing. It's just you got to keep closing, right? Like that's where the follow-up
compounds. And if you quit working on it, you're not going to see the gains. You have to restart. Like every time you take a day off, I tell them you're pissing away 90. Because what you have right now is a direct reflection of what you did 90 days ago on your sales calendar.
Yeah. And that's especially with insurance, man. Like you gotta work those people, because a lot of them, not a lot, but I would say a majority, depending on what insurance you're selling or what
Life
have you.
insurance. So it's all emotional based. It's not tangible. It's intangible. It's all emotional.
Right.
And how society is, they just want you to take, never give. So people are getting less and less like aware of why they need it.
Yeah. And then some people who are doing it older, right? And so then you're talking to way older belief patterns, what have you. I mean, I know obviously if they get too old, it doesn't make sense for them, but it's interesting to see that, man.
Like 40 to 60 are typically who need it and want it most, or the small family unit, level 4 values, level thinking, Christians, Catholic, sacrifice now, reward later. It's in their belief system. It's just what they're taught, so it goes with their buying strategy, their decision making. But it's like the 18-year-old dude who's doing TikTok dances. He doesn't think he's gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he drinks and drives next year and he's gone. But it's like that's the crazy ass world we live in.
That's the truth, man. That's what's wild. But yeah, what's crazy about like insurance is like those are the guys who need it most, man. Like
the younger you are, the cheaper it is. Get it now.
And the more it will get kicked back to you once.
Well, it's like Tanner's using it for like tax purposes, principal protection. Like Tanner's using it in a smart way. I've got millions on myself, but it's like you can leave your family where you are or where you want them to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one?
Yeah, that's I do the same thing Tanner does with the policies, man. So I couldn't agree with that more. I'm a big advocate for insurance, especially.
I love it. I've taken loans against shit just to buy it, because also you can't tax debt. Like this will be the first year I won't have to pay taxes.
Dude, that's like, I wish I'd known that when I first started, man. My first tax bill was like, oh my god.
I know you guys make some good money over there, which is cool, because I know that I get to learn all of your mistakes and do it quicker. But only because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Like I cannot stand when people shit on their coach. Well, I would have figured this out anyways. No, you wouldn't have. Right. But it's human nature. Like when's the last time you remember your brother bought food for you? Probably never. But you remember the last time you did something for him.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like human nature.
It's crazy you say that, man, because even in sales, like when you're coaching people in sales, they're like, oh yeah, like I knew this, like I just didn't know what it was called, or like I didn't know this is what it.
A year ago, like a month ago, you were crying because you couldn't pay off your credit card debt. Now you're just God's gift to sales. Like, at least I know I'm responsible for that. So now I've just learned to incorporate testimonials in it when they're most excited, because over time they'll be less appreciative of it. But like I got that out of you guys' program and kind of modeling how you ran your businesses. Like I said, Tanner, that's the longest fucking website I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, man, that thing is a beast for sure, but that's so funny.
So, dude, how long did it take you to like get really proficient in what you do?
Man, like in terms of sales or building teams or all of the above?
Like, we'll do building teams first, and then how long it took you to get really proficient in sales?
Oh man, I like it. Just obviously, if I'm comparing to myself to the way I was yesterday, you know, I'm one of like the people that think I'm never good enough, right? Like I have that what Hormozy teaches.
Yeah,
like,
that crippling insecurity.
Yeah, like crippling insecurity, where I'm like, man, I'm not that good, even though, you know, I've been able to sell millions of dollars. I know it sounds like kind of arrogant or cliche, but it's the truth. So when you ask me that question, I'm like, man, I still feel like I'm learning. But I would say like a big shift happened between like 2019 and 2020, where 2019, the way I would sell people is like just relating with them, or like feeling like I was relating with them and making them feel like they were talking to a friend more than like a salesperson.
Yeah.
But it was like the most energy draining. I don't even know. Looking back, I'm like, I don't know how I did that, man. You know, because when you're in it, you're doing it. But then once you get out of it, you're like, man, I was just selling with like tons of energy, being like super exuberant on the call. Like I was like, I just need to be happy.
Tearing them off.
Yeah. Like going like just expending tons of energy on people. And then I kind of got into more of like what Tony Robbins teaches, like in the NLP. I started studying a lot of like other sales pros. I had never done that really. I had just learned from Tanner, he's my brother. So that's kind of like what I started learning. But then I kind of like broke through. I was like, no, I can study other people. So I started studying other people. I would say like my favorite book and the person I studied the most is Grant Cardone, which I'm sure a lot of salespeople study him, but like he has my favorite book. It's called The Closer Survival Guide. And it's just all about, he has objection handling techniques in there, but I just love the way he talks about salespeople. Like he talks about you being a gatekeeper to change. And like, if you don't help someone cross that gate when you can help them, like you're not doing your job. And that just like gave me a massive perspective shift.
Correct. And I can't stand when people shit on that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if I know they're going to be fucked if they don't buy this policy today and they die tomorrow and they're going to leave their family $50,000 in debt on top of funeral expenses, they die tomorrow, who is their family going to call and blame when they see the business card for not helping them make a decision when it was time to?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
They're not going to get mad at him. He's gone.
Yeah.
They're going to get mad at me.
That's
but
what
people think it's manipulation, but helping people is still manipulation as well.
Yeah. It's like you can deem you can frame anything the way you want it, but if you truly know like what your son's going to help someone, what I say is it's kind of like a person gets bit by a rattlesnake and you have the antidote, but they don't like shots. Doesn't mean you're not going to give them the shot. It's like, you're going to be like, suck it up, man, give them the shot. And yeah, they'll be mad at you for a little bit, or like they'll be in some discomfort, but save them now, man. That's like how I started looking at it, and it changed the game for me. And then like my energy, I wasn't having to spend so much energy on calls, where like I usually do like anywhere between 8 to 9 calls a day when I was running like a full calendar, and those are hour-long calls. So by the end of the day, I was just waxed, and that was the biggest change for me. Is like I would finish the end of the day and feel good, Yeah.
That was mine, is just removing the emotions out of it. Like Hormozy talks a lot about leverage, and it's like, I've got money in the bank. I don't need this. You do. Like, if you don't buy now, I know you'll buy later when the problem gets so big from not solving it now. So I know you'll come back because I keep creating content that makes you dependent on me. Eventually you'll buy anyways.
Yeah.
It's like just playing that long game. So I love that you brought that up. Yeah. How many sales teams have you personally like built now?
Man, off the top of my head, probably 300. Like,
dude, that is incredible, man.
Yeah, 300. Like, and again, those are all sizes. That might be like one setter, one closer, and then I have teams as big as like 15 people plus, so
that's still a lot. 300 sales teams, like that's still a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what I do though, and like I try to run lean teams, man. That's one thing too. Like even with Tanner's team, when I was managing his sales team, we had 3.5 people, 3 full-timers, 1 part-time guy, and we were hitting, 1.5 million a month with 3.5 people. I think that's a misconception too. Like I see a lot of these companies, they overstaff their sales guys. Like,
oh, and lead quality goes to shit because you're trying to fill up 15 people's stomachs instead of 4. But like those 4 A players can really outwork 50. Go look at the insurance industry and tell me how disgusting some of the sizes of these people are.
That is the
99% of them suck.
That is the worst industry. But don't they build downlines though? Like that's why.
Yeah, it's all hierarchy. But here's the thing: is like they'll get someone to come in and just say, "Oh, we'll go recruit your friends and family." Yeah. And they haven't even sold a policy. Like, why are you trying to bring someone on that's going to be dependent on you to teach them how to sell when you don't even know how to?
That's the problem. That's my one gripe with insurance.
I can't stand it. I had a team of 3 or 4 when we were Spartans. Like the movie 300, no surrender, no retreat, taking souls, bunch of David Goggins out there.
Just 4 guys just crushing teams of 500, right?
Oh, yeah, but it's like half out of that team of 500, there's only 40 active writers. 400 left last year because they couldn't cut it. And out of those 40, it's really 4 doing most of the volume anyways.
Yeah.
It's an 80-20 rule.
Yeah, that's the truth. And that's that's the one thing about it. Like you'll have your one just beast, right? Like that does, I don't know. I've heard insurance guys, he did $1 million a year or like 2 million a year, right? Like I've heard some pretty big numbers just from guys who sell insurance. But I'm like, dude, it's one dude out of a team of however many is on the downline, right? It's like, and you don't know what he's really doing. That's the problem.
Yeah, submit and issue are two different things. Like what actually goes through, what gets approved.
Yeah.
Because we had a girl who wrote like $100,000 in a month on dead people. She wrote $100,000, only 10,000 of it went through. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is why you guys do not compare yourself to those idiots on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
You don't actually know what's going on. They might have to do that because they have 20 kids. They might have to do that to survive.
Yeah, that's crazy. Jeez Louise.
But the churn is so high in this industry, and the fact that no one even knows what churn is in this industry, it's disgusting.
Dude.
One of the first things I was asking my coaching call, like, what's your churn? How long are people sticking with the policy? They're like, well, churn? Like butter? Like, no. How many people are canceling their policies a month?
Dude, that's, yeah. It's, yeah, you just, like you said, though, they just, people building a team before they've sold any themselves or like have been in the trenches themselves. So it's,
yeah, but they have no business knowledge. It's just all product.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know which carrier is best for what type of client, but you don't know how to build a team. You don't know how to nurture relationships, build automation, scale it. Like there's so many skills. When like I went $250,000 in debt to go through all kinds of coaching programs, you guys, Nico, some of Brad Lee's shit, Grant Cardone stuff, like 2 years almost of investing into skills before I've seen any positive return. But now it's like that shit's paid off. Money's still frozen, but my bills are still like debt's gone.
Yeah.
But it's like I had to pay a lot of time and money to learn all those skills to run a business.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like I started doing sales in 2017, end of 2017. Started doing cold calling, like call center sales. Then I did solar. Then I did, online, and then started building teams like I built a few, but like really started building them like end of 2021. Did it all, all year last year. Now into this year. So yeah, man, I tell people I've done like thousands and thousands of calls before I started teaching it. Like it wasn't just one call or a few calls, it's thousands of them.
Yeah, like you skin your knees every time you get on a bike and you're going to try to tell someone else how to ride it.
Yeah.
Like you drown in the water, but you're teaching swim classes. Like that shit doesn't work. Dude, what do you see as the most like best beliefs for the top salespeople that you see? Like the best salespeople, what do you see as the beliefs or values they have? Like what makes them them?
It's a good question. The best salespeople are clear on their beliefs. So they all maybe have different beliefs, but they're clear on what those beliefs are, and they're actually tied into them, right? So I've had a sales rep who cleared, $250,000 his first year doing sales, that we got him into, but he was like, he and his wife wanted to start a family. He wanted to be like financially well off so that when baby came into the world, they were good to go. I've had other reps who want like an ability to buy nice cars, buy fancy things, right? But they're bought in. It's not just like, oh, I want to travel, like I want to have money.
So they're just willing to pay the price, like they're willing to sacrifice.
But they're clear on what they're sacrificing for, and they're actually willing to sacrifice for. I think, with Instagram and TikTok, kind of like what you're saying, it's like motivation is like it's in your face all the time.
Well,
and
so a lot of it is fake too. Like I know Tanner can actually afford that car, but 90% of these influencers and gurus are leasing shit out just to get pictures because they can't actually afford freedom. So they buy things that give off the illusion or appearance of it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, people will see that and they're like, oh, I want to do that, because they saw it from someone else. They didn't really like sit down and like with themselves make like a contract with themselves. And so honestly, my best reps, like they're just clear on what they want. And then when like rain comes, because rain will eventually come, like you're gonna have down times. You'll have times where you're getting zero leads. they just stick with it. Like they just keep working through. And that's the difference between my best reps and then like average and then reps that don't stick around, right? It's like you see that in every industry, right? But like every industry, you'll have a slow time of year. Like in a lot of like product-based industries, December, January are slow months, right? It's like normal.
100%. And that's where the really good salespeople make more than
Yeah,
usual.
yeah, exactly.
But
So
it's like that is so crazy. And dude, this is so valuable. I want to say thank you again. What do like those teams that are small, they obviously have better lead quality because it's not getting dispersed just because you're trying to like stuff the pipeline full. Like,
yeah,
how do you filter and add friction to that kind of lead generation process? Like, obviously, there's part two of any external function of the business is the lead nurture. How do you maintain those relationships? What do you guys kind of do to kind of filter and move people through a pipeline and transition? What do you guys do to maintain really high lead quality?
yeah, really good question. So what I'll do is I'll build like essentially a quality team on sales teams, and what they do is they'll have applications. Call gets booked. They have someone going through all the applications. Any red flags in those applications, they'll reach out to the person who scheduled the call and clarify them. If the person doesn't clarify, they cancel it, and then that person's in charge of sticking on those people who booked, but then the call got canceled for whatever reason. Clarifying whatever red flags it was, and then they'll rebook them. And that's where I'll see with like my teams versus a lot of teams I get on, right? Is like I'll have teams who get, just to make numbers easy, 100 calls in a day, right? But out of those 100 calls, they'll cancel 70, right? So then 30 quality calls are on the calendar. Where I've seen companies I get into, they're double booking. They're like, oh yeah, we double booked this guy because we're having a 50% no show rate. So they have a guy that
I
has,
think that's stupid because that was something that I used to do because it's a numbers game. It is not a fucking numbers game until you can have quality quantity.
dude, that I could not agree more. Like I see teams that do that. It's just because they have enough people to throw at the problem. But then it's what you said, like you're not actually fixing anything. You're just like you've put a band-aid on a bigger problem.
They're
Your
throwing
problem,
more bodies at the problem. And
exactly. That's
I think people are just too insecure or too unaware to even deal with shit. And it's like,
so then that's why they have high turn in their sales team, because they bring in more people. They promise these people like, oh, it's not us, it's the
well,
salespeople.
we have the highest churn rate in any sales industry. The financial service industry has like less than an 8% chance of success. I think
Jeez.
realtors is 13.
I didn't know that, man. That's crazy. How
But we
what's the
also
average?
make the most millionaires out of any other industry.
Yeah. What's the average like lifespan? I know you said the 8% success rate.
Probably 1 year. I think there's like 120,000 licensed agents every year who are like actually doing something, but the next year they fall off because it wasn't what they thought it was, because recruiters sell them on this bullshit pipe dream to make $10,000 a week, $1,000,000 a month, buy your Bugatti, whatever. And it's like, no, come stuff my pocket bank so I can get this free trip, all expenses paid to Hawaii. And it's very it's very lascivious in this industry. People have a very dirty conscience and like car dealership mentality.
Yeah, my I don't know if Tanner told you, but my dad did life insurance, man. Like he still does to this day. So it was like a second job he picked up kind of on the
The
side.
only reason you'd be staying in this is if you're super profitable or you know what the hell you're doing,
Yeah,
because this industry has a tendency to weed people out who don't pick up the skills they need to.
yeah,
And so it's
yeah,
like they say it's 92% of agents fail in the first year, but it's like the other 8% out of them, 7% of the 8% is like they're just making enough to pay the bills. It's
yeah,
truly a 1%.
yeah. That's crazy. But what's something that I point out to people though is what you just said is like if you can stick around, you're already beating 92% of people. So then the game is really just with another 7% to cross the finish line or to get, to that $1 million, multi-million dollar income, right? So
Oh, correct. But it's
effort,
like,
man, effort, you will beat more people. Like I didn't really understand this till like maybe a year ago. It's like effort puts you ahead of, I would say in general, I feel like it puts you ahead of 80% of people in the world. Like it already puts you in top 20.
100%. Like I do this thing in my course that it's like the power of speed. And it's like someone who does things end of week versus end of day versus end of hour End of hour dude gets like 8,000 things done a year. End of day dude gets 300 something things done a year. End of week guy gets 50 things done a year. And it's like, you can get such a huge disproportionate gap between your competition. And that's the goal of business, is it not to outlast the competition?
Yep.
It's not to fucking slaughter them. I mean, I would like to, but like I said, the movie 300 is my favorite. Like, no surrender, no retreat. But if you can just play the game longer than anyone else, like, you will eventually, even if you suck, you will run out of the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
You can only do the wrong thing for so long before you either
Long.
quit or do what's working.
Yep. I could not agree with you more, dude. But that's what most people can't do. That's what I was talking about too, being clear on your vision. Just like, just keep going. Just keep going. Because that was one thing too, like working with Tanner when I started, dude, our sales meetings would be at 6 a.m. because I was on the West Coast and he was on Central. And dude, I'd be getting cussed out at 6 a.m. in the morning. Like, you know how everyone's like, oh, listen to motivational speeches, like meditate. Bro, I would get up at 5:30, like shower, wash my face, get on a meeting, and then I'm just getting slaughtered, like 6 a.m. to 7. And you know, like Tanner, I don't hold it against him because he was trying to show the team like he wasn't playing favorites. But whatever he would do to someone, or like when he would come down on someone, I would get it 10 times worse. And I would have sales guys message me, bro, are you all right?
Are you okay?
Dude, there were some times where
I'll catch that bastard at the family reunion.
Oh man, those built some scabs on me. But yeah, like that again, I'm so grateful I just kept going though, you know. I was just clear on what I wanted.
That's the thing, is like entrepreneurship, especially the insurance industry, it makes you face your biggest fucking fears. You have to go through the like most spiritualistic, sacrificial, stressful journey in the world. And it's like, I feel especially bad for the women because they have to pick up very masculine traits that they're not biologically designed to do because they're not driven by money. Like, I've never met a gold digger. I don't believe there are such things as gold diggers.
Maybe you haven't been to Miami enough, dude.
Maybe, but they're still not even after money. They're after the experience that money can provide for them.
Yeah.
Private jets, paid for trips, nails done, hair's done, everything did, whatever that Drake song says. But it's like eyebrows on, they want the shit money can provide for them. But if I tell a girl 1 million and 10 million, 99% of the women population are not going to care about the difference.
Yeah.
You tell that to you or Tanner, it's a huge fucking deal. But it's like, I respect the female entrepreneurs 100%, dude, because they have to go through even harder shit. I don't believe women should have to go through stress and trauma. It masculinizes them.
I mean, man, yeah, it's true. There's definitely some, I mean, they go through it for sure. I agree.
It's like the single moms, they're the fucking rock stars in my books. They're the fucking rock stars in my books.
That would be the hardest thing, man. I have a son. I'm married to an amazing woman, thank goodness. But dude, I couldn't imagine. Like, I'm like dead tired, and there's two of us, you know, like. But again, it kind of goes back. Like, sometimes you do things that you don't know you can do.
Well, yeah, you have a responsibility now as a man, whether you like it or not. You have to do it because you have to provide and keep them safe.
I do like that quote that Alex says. You know, he's like, the only way you lose is if you quit, right? Like, just
100%. So, dude, I'll ask you one more question and be respectful of your time. Like, for most of the agents out there, most of them are like people who go through my program. I teach them the organic marketing, the messaging, understanding the process. They're all going to fucking kill it in the next 6 months when financially the world gets fucked. Like, people out there just buying leads from lead vendors of people who requested insurance. What are some things they could tactically do to like increase sales and increase lead quality? Because that's probably their biggest problem is people aren't interested. I didn't fill that out. So-and-so, like, what the hell? Someone just came to your house and sent like a letter to a stranger about insurance? No. But they're lying. Like, how can they increase that lead quality to get more proficient in sales?
Well, I like what you said, like learn how to generate your own leads versus buying from vendors that are given out to the highest bidder ultimately. And then the second is just put a qualification process in place, right? So this is something that's super, super big for me is when you have a call that doesn't go right, or you have someone who you call and then they pick up, they're like, oh, I didn't request that. reworking where that started, or like where that lead came from, and then where possibly could have been the hiccup, and then fixing that, like filling that hole. For me, a lot of the time, it's the application process. Like,
well, see, that's the thing they can't control. So that's why I'm asking, because they're buying leads that are generated from these huge mailing companies that are, and some of them are so disingenuous, dude. It's very deceptive in this industry. It's like your whole mortgage is due, and it's like, well, they think their house is going to get like foreclosed. Of course, they filled it out.
Yeah,
They didn't think it was for fucking insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, would you recommend like certain email marketing, or what can they do to kind of filter those people out who actually need it and want it?
Yeah, so like sometimes rather than sending just like an application, like how much do you make, those types of things, inserting qualifying or application questions that gets you the best leads, right? So it's like, what type of job do you have? You could send that in an email, be like, oh, do you have this type of job? See if people are responding to that, and then who have been your best leads. Go look at what type of jobs they have. What do they do? Where do they live? Right? Those types of things is. Or the other thing that I've seen some of my successful insurance agents do is, rather than calling to do like a full sell, call and do a setting call, right?
That's what most of them do. Like, I preach 2-call close in this industry. Like, set the appointment up, find the need, and then sell them on the second call.
10, 15 minutes, though. That's the thing, is a lot of them don't know how to keep it 10, 15 minutes. They go 30 minutes, waste. I don't say waste, but they spend a lot of time building a relationship, and then the next call, all the excitement that they build on the first call has fallen off, and they're trying to rekindle it.
Correct. And most people, they just have terrible no-show rates because they didn't bring out the real problem, need, or emotion on the appointment setting call.
Yep, 100%. And you don't need terribly long to find that. 10, 15 minutes. That stick in that time frame, and then you'll be efficient at finding the needs, the wants, desires, the whole nine. That's what I would do.
Dude, I love this. Thank you so much for coming on here, dude.
Yeah, man.
I absolutely loved working with you guys over at Elite CEOs and Elite Closers. I think I've sent someone an application to like apply for a sales position over there. So maybe they got it, maybe they didn't. I have no clue. This was months ago. But dude, keep doing what you guys are doing. Where can people find you if they want to follow you, reach out to you, anything like that?
Yeah, easiest place to find me is my website is just eliteclosers.com, just like it sounds. And then my Instagram, Gentry Chidester, GentryChidester. Pretty easy to find. It's a strange name, but not too many people share it. So just
you guys will find them if you just search the last name, one of the three.
Yeah, so one of the three, exactly.
Dude, I really appreciate you, man. So for everyone out there watching, you guys be sure to go show some love on all the Chidester pages. They've definitely earned it. And like I said, dude, I really appreciate that, man. And I look forward to any type of future business or relationship with you guys. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate you for having me on, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, later.